Thank you so much for taking the time to join this webinar. I'd like to welcome everyone to our finance webcast today. So today's presentation will be focused on the increase in efficiency and reduce effort with an automated financial close process. This is the American Airlines experience. I will now pass this over to Bill.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Bill Marchioni. I lead Hackett's Counter Report Advisory Program. I'd like to welcome everyone to our webcast today, and we're excited about our webcast today. We have American Airlines joining us to talk about how they are transforming their record-to-report process, how they're leveraging the Trintech cadency solution to help them, drive performance and drive digital transformation, which is what it's all about. So with that, let's move right into really the bulk of why we're here today. And we know that finance and accounting teams face increasing challenges in the current environment. We've got economic uncertainty. You couple this with increasing regulation and reporting requirements, rising workforce constraints, demand for accurate forecasting. We are being asked to do more with less, as we have been for years, but those challenges are probably more significant now than they ever have been, and we need to respond quickly to those process change. We've got to know how to automate. We've got to move away from the manual tasks. We've got to get to value add. We've got to be able to look at data. We have to be able to do market analysis. We have to be able to drive strategic direction of the business. And so that makes it imperative for us to get very, very good at the transactional side, at the compliance side, at the control side. We are pleased to have three speakers here today, two from American Airlines and one from Trintech. Allison Devad is the Director of Automation Systems for American Airlines, and she has 20 years experience in the airline industry. She currently works with various business groups in IT and audit to integrate finance and accounting systems and processes, as well as delivering streamlined automation solutions. And that includes systems integration, process automation, strategic initiatives, governance, controls. She manages the team that supports the finance modernization initiatives and systems management. And she has experience with the business challenges that we often face, including merger integration. Will Moeller is a manager of accounting automation at American Airlines. He has over 15 years experience with American Airlines, specializing in digital transformation, systems automation, process improvement, financial analysis. He drives innovation technologies that enhance the team performance and reduce the manual processes. And that's a big part of what we're all trying to do. And again, his expertise is across diverse roles. He's led complex project implementations and some of the revenue challenges they have and their global operating startups. And from the Trintech side, we have Samson Bialostok, and he's a strategic account manager at Trintech. He supports the financial transformations of their largest customers, their most valued customers. He's got a track record of cross-functional collaboration with these organizations and helping them drive positive business outcomes. So we're very excited, Allison, Will, and Samson, that you're able to join us here today. So with that, Allison, let's turn it over to you. And maybe you can paint a picture for us in terms of the record-to-report transformation that American Airlines is undertaking. How does that dovetail into a broader transformation that might be going on? And how might the record-to-report space be impacted by that broader transformation?
Yeah, so as part of our just overall transformation journey, we started off just some history into that is, we went through a merger with US Airways and American, and we were at a point in about, 2019 where we completed those merger activities. We were in a stabilization period prior to COVID, where we really were looking at and are still always looking at our enterprise level initiatives on modernizing our accounting and finance systems. And with that, when we look at that, we're always trying to look to see our overall goal, especially with, staff reduction and employee retention, is the goal of reducing manual processes, particularly in our finance and accounting areas. As you mentioned, everybody's trying to do more with less, and that is a big part of like our vision in looking at how do we transform, and always continuously looking to transform or optimize.
And so how did that lead into any of the specific decisions that you may have done from a systems perspective, with record to report?
So
You obviously went out, you've gotten a solution, but help us understand the thinking behind that and the approach that you use to determine, do we need a specific type of solution? And then once the answer to that is yes, then, how do you go about figuring out which solution that should be?
yeah, so as part of that, as I mentioned, like that evaluation of modernizing our applications, we're usually back-end systems are the last to modernize. But we took that initiative to look at it. And when we looked at our record to report processes at that point in time, we really needed to identify a way to help, again, with those manual processes. Our process itself was very manual, Excel spreadsheets. We didn't really have an official system. We weren't very standardized, being a global company, our reconciliations themselves were not in a standard template format. Back to that 100% manual reconciliation. And in our case, we were using Excel, which also gives a delay to how much visibility a manager can see into where we at in our closed process. Without doing email or, picking up the phone and calling folks on what's the status of where I'm at in my recons, or where are we at in our journal entry submissions. Again, everybody's trying to optimize quicker close or shorter close process and periods with increased, SOX controls, system controls as much as possible. And everything that you're trying to do in that process is making sure everything's complete and accurate in your reporting on top of that. So with our challenges, it really drove, we need to find a solution for those manual components, which were also a lot of the key criteria for us in looking at what are the solutions that are out there to help with these pain points.
Thank you, Allison. Let's talk about complexity. And Hackett talks about complexity all the time: controllable complexity, non-controllable complexity. You've mentioned acquisitions, large acquisitions. Those are certainly times and business events that make our world pretty complex. Long-winded way of saying, tell us about the complexity that you were dealing with prior to this digital transformation that you were undertaking.
Yeah, so from a complexity standpoint, again, back to we were not standardized. We were using the templates and reconciliations themselves, was to put that into place, right? So we were also trying to bridge those processes into standardization, because we did have, better term is, we had the legacy process for areas or locations that were predominantly maybe US Airways, and then our American culture or areas where there are those folks who are reconciling their way, right? Both in the end giving the final result that we need to, but it was not standardized. So it was really pulling all our user groups to standardize into one process for the ultimate American Airlines and our go forward. That also includes, evaluating business processes. What are you doing? What could we provide efficiency into the process? Could reduce or transform that business process on the really changing the mindset of how they're reconciling as well, really to leverage the system. Do you need all of these data point elements? Yes, you may have needed them in the past, but do you really need it? Really challenging that thought. And then once determining, yes, you need, or helping them get through, like, well, I don't really need this to get to my end state. That really helped get us to those standardized processes, as I mentioned. As I mentioned before too, like we were really heavily using Excel for our journal entry process. And so every time, which was very customized. It was a customized homegrown tool for American to do our journal entries. And so part of that is every time Microsoft did an upgrade or change in any nature, and we're rolling out continuous updates to Excel or Microsoft products, it would break everything that we had. And so we would continuously having to do custom coding to keep this maintenance of our Excel journal template, as well as the process for manual in regards to complexity of our reconciliations and sign-offs. Everything, as I mentioned, kind of was decentralized. And so we had to go find out where were folks storing their reconciliations, their support. Some was in SharePoint, some was on their desktop. And again, really just trying to do a one-stop shop and consolidating everything into one place, better visibility with better system controls.
So Allison alluded to a marker in time in 2019. So that's really when American Airlines started our digital transformation journey, and was really targeted in looking at our financial close processes. So we were really looking at and conducting a comprehensive finance modernization review at that time, and identified areas for process improvement and automation within our finance close process. So between around mid 2020 and early 2021, we were assessing lots of different cloud-based SaaS solutions in order to help us streamline those finance and close processes. And talked to a number of industry-leading candidates, but after obviously careful consideration, we opted for Trintech's Cadency application, and along with enlisting an SI partner to assist us, we took a phased approach at doing this digital transformation in our finance and close processes. And we started by focusing on our account reconciliations, our journal entries, and our transaction matching processes. So in 2022, then, we reached an all-important milestone, obviously, of successfully launching within Cadency our certification and match processes in February of that year, followed by a rollout of our GL to GL journal template in October. And by implementing these changes in our processes and adopting Cadency's application, we were able to bring a lot of improvements and efficiencies to our finance and close process. And then throughout 2023, we had been focusing on how do we get ready to implement, for example, additional journal templates into the journal process within Cadency. We also were making sure that we kept up to date on our version upgrades of Cadency, because we really wanted to make sure that we're taking the latest features and capabilities and implementing those where they were appropriate. We also worked within our own business units to gather user stories to identify potential automation use cases. We wanted to ensure that our solution evolved along with our needs. So We wanted to be mindful. We wanted to take this phased approach. We felt like doing so was really vital in allowing us to be as successful as we have been in revamping our record to report process at American Airlines.
Thanks, Will, and we can continue that conversation. So how did Cadency transform the record to report process for you?
Yeah, absolutely.
What areas and what did it enable?
Absolutely. Thanks for that question. So I think firstly, and again, this is building upon what Allison mentioned earlier. I think we wanted to get as much of our financial close processes essentially under one roof, right? So that's why we picked Cadency. We wanted to get as much, if not all, of our financial close processes under one roof, so to speak. We wanted that single source of truth that would allow us to improve our systematic controls. Thinking about like the SOX controls that we have to be considerate of. And we wanted that single source of truth, obviously, to provide us the efficiencies with coming from having that single source of truth. So by implementing Cadency, right, we've been able to achieve large transaction volume matching. It's really accurate. We've found it to be really accurate. It helps us save a lot of time and effort when you're reconciling accounts. We've been able to automate that general ledger and subledger account reconciliation processes. So we've seen a lot of manual processes reduced as a result of that. It minimizes a lot of error-prone practices. It allows people to then focus on value-add activities instead of repetitive processes. Like Allison mentioned, we were in Excel, so lots of copying and pasting. So we reduced much of that, and it really allowed us to improve productivity and accuracy while giving us a better sense of security and confidence in that reconciliation process. And we always knew we wanted to revamp our manual journal entry processes, and Cadency was able to deliver there. I think on a previous slide, we talked about we didn't have good approval workflows for our journals that deal with invoicing. So we're able to add that layer of security through those dynamic approval workflows in the journaling process. So we've been able to add that. That's something we didn't have before. We had that highly customized logic, as mentioned by Allison, that was tied to the Excel. That now has been relieved. We don't have to worry about going and doing all of these tests to validate that Excel and various Microsoft upgrades aren't impacting our validations that were on the back end there. All of this is, by the way, fully auditable and visible through reporting as well. All of this automation, we've now been able to achieve all those journals essentially reaching a defined threshold, get examined, ensuring that we meet compliance standards and reduce the risk of errors. And then lastly, I think something that was really, really important for us is the seamless integration with our ERP system, which for American, we're an SAP shop, which allowed for data consistency in the movement of data between Cadency and our ERP system. So it's been a really smooth transition. It allows for that smooth data flow because Cadency uses really standard data exchange protocols and APIs. So it allows us to have that consistent data movement across the platforms. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that single source of truth for our financial close processes.
Yeah, thank you, Will. And I'm glad you mentioned, single source of truth, accuracy, SOX controls. Oftentimes when we think about the close process, we get so focused on the cycle time, right? But when we think about optimizing the close, it involves a lot of things and a lot of considerations. And those things you mentioned, controls, single version of the truth are critical components of that. So, Samson, let's turn it over to you and tell us a little bit more about Trintech.
Yeah, sure, Bill. Thank you. And let me first just say that we're really proud at Trintech to be able to partner with American Airlines on their finance transformation journey. And with it, that's really how we're looking to work with the 4,200 customers that we have around the globe. So Trintech, our mantra is to make time count. We look to be able to enable that by streamlining the record to report process and the financial close. I think across all of our customers have similarities to what American Airlines has been describing, whether it be ERP transformations, process transformations, mergers, acquisitions, things along those lines that are very exciting, but within themselves bring a lot of chaos. And despite some of those changes and the chaos, teams are still needing to be able to close their books, not just on time, but oftentimes faster. And that's really what we're looking to be able to help our customers do, and do that by providing a centralized, standardized approach to the record to report process.
Thank you, Samson. Will, tell us more about the specifics of the solution.
Yeah, absolutely, Bill. Thanks. Well, firstly, again, it is repetitive, but it bears that it's super important to us. Cadency provided that centralized repository for all of our account reconciliations and manual journal entries. So it's significantly streamlining all of our processes. We've got the rules engine driven automation that's been instrumental in allowing us to reduce manual processes. We've seen a lot of significant benefit in, as Allison mentioned, standardizing reconciliation processes across all of our business units. And through that standardization, it allows us to gain improved consistency and efficiency. The integrated reporting capabilities have really offered leaders at American Airlines in the finance and accounting space improved visibility in what's going on in the close process. So you're able to make decisions. You have the insights to make decisions faster, and it makes all of our processes more streamlined. Cadency's ability to integrate journals with reconciliations also has helped us improve processes and streamline our close process. It connects seamlessly with SAP, and it also can connect with other third-party systems, which makes it a big plus. And the data movement across the platform is also very smooth. And it reduces the manual interventions that we once used to have to do, where you'd have to go into the ERP system, grab some information, copy and paste, move it over to Excel. We don't have to do that anymore. Additionally, again, all of this is fully auditable. All of these approval workflows and attestations are auditable. And the enhanced journal entry approval workflows have really strengthened our compliance position and improved governance across all financial processes. And lastly, overall, just Cadency has really proven to be a robust solution that addresses our record to report needs. And it's really improved our financial close processes just overall.
So Will, results, and at the end of the day, it's about results, right? It's what we're trying to achieve. It's what's expected of us. It's how we define success. So, what were some of the goals that, and I think you've touched on some of this, but what were some of the goals that you're trying to accomplish, and really from a KPI and a metric perspective, what are you tracking, and where have you been able to move the needle?
Yeah, thank you, Bill. So I won't go through each one of these tiles, but what I will say is our number one goal is to reduce manual processes through automation and to achieve efficiencies, right? So we want to continuously look at each of these functional areas in order to optimize our processes. And that includes looking at new features that come out in various releases and adopting those where we can. So we're always looking at ways to improve our efficiencies and talk with our businesses to say, hey, we think we can increase your automation in this space that you're working in Cadency another 10%. And we think we can do that in the next quarter. We want to get something that you're doing over here, and there's a new version coming out, and we want to get you to do what you were doing outside of Cadency, inside Cadency. So we're always looking at ways, like I said, to reduce those manual processes. That's our number one goal around our digital transformation of our record to report processes is reducing those highly repeatable processes and tasks and get those automated in Cadency.
So how's Cadency been received by the team? You know, change management's always a big issue, right? We've got something new, we've got new processes. Just curious as to how you manage the change management piece of it, but at the end of it all, how well received is the new tool?
No, that's a good question, Bill. I would say change management is at least, if not more, 50% of the effort in going through any digital transformation project. And that's no different here at American Airlines. So a lot of our efforts, a lot of our time goes into meeting with specific teams and talking about their current processes and how processes may change, but you get to the end result that's the same. So we put a lot of effort into that, one-on-one touch points that, and in doing so, has led to a really great adoption of Cadency. And the feedback that we get from our users is we don't have to do a lot of copying and pasting anymore. We don't have to do a lot of the emails back and forth that we have to do. We don't have to be on endless close calls to get information. So it has been well received by our user base. And as we continue to make improvements, those sentiments just get better and better by our users.
Well, what about transparency and visibility? Can you share with us how that may have been improved through the work and the digital transformation that you've done?
Yeah, I think it was mentioned before, but our ability to have insights into the process in which we go through when we're closing, whether it's reconciling an account or are we getting all of our journals in on time, that kind of transparency was very difficult to come by prior to having this single source of truth. So now we can easily track, are we getting our recs done on time? Trintech has been very forthcoming and helps us understand benchmarking as well. So this particular slide is showing, hey, how well are we getting our reconciliations done on time, as an example, compared to other customers that are in a similar industry as American. In this case, it's the shipping and transportation industry. So it really helps us also understand that, you know, we do a really good job at getting our recons done on time, for example, compared to other Cadency customers in the industry. We didn't have that type of visibility before, or it was really difficult to get at. And now that we have this single source of truth, this Cadency application, it's not a struggle to get at that. And it's really easy to see a lot of different aspects of our processes as we go through close, as we go through our recons, things like that.
Yeah, that benchmarking data is phenomenal. You know, obviously Hackett's a benchmarking firm, it's our DNA, but we don't collect data at this level, right? So we're proponents of measurement, we're proponents of benchmarking, we're proponents of you know, comparing yourself to the industry. And it's great that Trintech has the ability to share this with you. Let's turn it over to you and help us understand what results you're able to achieve with your customers. You know, what are typical results and how do you help your customers on this digital journey?
Yeah, sure. So I would say on this slide, what we have here definitely represents the four pillars that make up Trintech's core competency, from the account reconciliations, the transaction matching that's happening throughout the month as well, close task management, of course, those journal entry, workflow, and approval processes. Now, of course, our system is more downstream, and I think The big thing for our customers is those systems that are upstream that can be pretty complex from a landscape perspective. Our customers may have a multi-ERP ecosystem. They have different source systems for, say, their credit card processing, for their accrual information, for their intercompany transactions, even. And what we can do is provide really that downstream central system to be able to ingest this information, to help perform those reconciliations, to be able to execute the journal entry workflows and approvals, and of course, ultimately manage the close and close the books. So I'd say for our customers, these are the areas that we look to be able to help drive automation, to streamline, and by centralizing within our tool, these percentages at the bottom part of the screen, that's what our customers can expect to achieve.
Thank you, Samson. Maybe you can tell us a little bit more detail about the technology here.
Yeah, sure. So I mentioned the upstream systems, and I'd say that multi-ERP ecosystem is one that we're pretty familiar with, and for that reason, we do have connectors pre-built connectors with the major ERPs from Workday to SAP to Oracle as well. And as I mentioned too, though, there's other systems that feed into the reconciliation process, and that's really where we look to work with our customers is to make sense of the data. How can we get it into the system so they can automate as much as possible those reconciliation efforts, and to the poll question a couple slides ago, reduce those manual processes.
Okay, Allison, let's turn back to you. What's next? What else is on the roadmap?
Yeah, so as Will mentioned, we're always looking at what Trintech's version upgrades are providing. So as we look at that, we're always looking to, I guess, our pieces adopting at least at a minimum 3 features, when we're looking at that process optimization. So we're always continuously looking there. We are also looking at optimizing our close cycle optimization by using Trintech's close module. So we're looking through that as well. We're always looking to expand our reconciliation through automation, where part of that would be is looking at those accounts where they may be lower risk or things that aren't changing very much. From a movement perspective, again, trying to use automation to help with that reconciliation, and it becomes more of a review for someone than actually doing a deep dive into it. The match use cases, we're always looking to see how can we, especially at subledger system levels, is how can we again do that detail level using automation through our match use cases. We're continuously working with our business groups to say, how can we make your process more efficient? So match use case is a big one, especially in our subledger activity. We're always trying to look at what's next with Gen AI or machine learning. What's trending coming forward? Again, trying to look and say, on that forefront, how are systems moving to this? How can we provide better optimization through automation? And Gen AI is a big piece of this now. And we're always looking to now be, as we're providing more time to our users, is giving the capability more analytical. So that could be even using Gen AI. What does that analytical component look like? Can the user be self-sufficient? Our whole goal is to allow the users to be self-sufficient in their reporting, access to the data, and be that analytical person, as well as being able to allow them the tools to be strategic. Our plan for next year is to continue with these same things. As we learn on what new features are out there, we try to stay pretty close in the community as part of the Trintech community and say what's out there, how are others doing it, and is this something that we can apply here at American?
Thank you. And Allison, you started the conversation, and we'll give you an opportunity to wrap it up for us. What are some of the lessons learned? What would the advice be that you would give to others as they embark and try and sustain a digital transformation journey?
Yeah, so the big thing that I would say is we kind of bucket it in four pieces, right? Where you can start with quick wins. We intentionally did a phased rollout so that we could do, user adoption, stabilize, and then do this continuous user engagement, which help with some of the change management. So anything where you can start when you're looking at it, where you can provide quick wins, I would start there. Standardize or transform your process as well. Think about that as you're evaluating where this is your opportunity to do that. And so part of that is making sure that, training is part of that. Again, making sure that the users have that ability to adopt, because you want to make sure the system's scalable. Automation on our world is like automation, layer in automation as much as you can, and then always look to optimize where you can as well. That there is that mindset of how can I continuously measure and keep providing those efficiencies for those business areas. If you choose to use an SI for a partner in rolling out Cadency or any other tool for your R2R process. Another thing, we did use an SI. Another thing that I would say is really make sure you stay connected with your SI partner. Understand, the pieces and what they're doing, making sure that you have working sessions to bring your stakeholders in earlier, get their buy-in. Communicate frequently, provide status updates. The more that you kind of keep your key control areas engaged, even if it's informational, this is coming, part of testing. These are all help with your change management and user adoption. And always think about too, as you're looking is, making sure you're staying engaged with the user community, your own user community, so that you have a channel of feedback coming in so that you can continuously find ways to optimize.
Great, thank you, Allison. I see that we actually have about 5 questions in here, and unfortunately, we won't be able to get to all of them. So I will work with the speakers here and hopefully be able to get answers to all 5 of those. But let's see if we can consider a couple here. Allison, this is probably for you. It's related to S4. And how does transitioning to S4 affect the processes you've built?
Yeah, so we are actually currently on our journey to S4. We are just starting this process. We are on, for anybody that's SAP, we are on ECC 6. So we are on an older version of SAP, but we look to continue optimize in the sense of how does Cadency for us and all our process integrate with S4? Because we have such a high user adoption and satisfaction with our user community, we are looking just to make sure that we stay whole in this space, but provide maybe more integration optimization as S4 changes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Steve Boomer, did you have a comment you wanted to make? I was reading certain things here. It sounds like maybe you did.
Hi, Bill. So just one sort of query that just interestingly. So you talked about on the roadmap version upgrades. I was just interested how easy that process was.
Yeah, for us, this is fairly easy. We get an update about, what features are being done. The upgrades are dropped into our lower environment. So again, as I was mentioning, we have a process on our side of where we're looking at what features we plan to take. We go test those features out, and then we communicate to our groups, again, making sure our audit team knows what we're putting forward, our user community, We socialize the features that we're going for. So it really becomes a cadence. Every quarter or every new patch release or really upgrade release, we're taking on something. And it also puts our users in a pattern of to expect enhancements along the way.
Thank you. And we are just a couple of minutes before the top of the hour. As I mentioned before, we probably have 3 or 4 more questions we were unable to get to. I will take those questions as an action item. I'll work with the speakers and see if we can get a response for you on that. And I do want to thank our speakers again today, Allison, Will, and Samson, for your time and your insight. Very much appreciated. With that, B, I'll turn it over to you to wrap it up.
Apologies.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just on mute. I was just thinking, thank you very much for attending this webcast. Thank you very much, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.